People usually felt Derry before they saw it. A tightening in the chest, a wrongness in the air, the subtle sense that the town was leaning closer, listening. Most visitors ignored it, wrote it off as nerves or imagination, and paid for that mistake later. John Wick noticed it the moment his car crossed the city line. The rain had started without warning, thick and cold, turning the streets into dark mirrors. Neon signs bled across the wet asphalt, stretching and warping like dying memories. Derry looked quiet, too quiet for a town that size. No traffic jams, no laughter spilling from bars, just the low hiss of rain and the hum of streetlights struggling to stay awake. John's hands rested loosely on the steering wheel. His posture was relaxed, but only in the way a loaded gun looks relaxed on a table. He had taken contracts in worse places, war zones, collapsing cities, countries that technically didn't exist anymore. But this place felt different, not dangerous, hungry. He parked 2 blocks from his destination, a brick building wedged between a shuttered movie theater and a pawn shop with a flickering open sign that buzzed like an insect. According to the file, the target was a mid-level broker who had skipped payments to the wrong people and fled here thinking the middle of nowhere would keep him safe. People always thought that. John stepped out into the rain, coat darkening instantly. The night smelled old, mold, rust, something metallic underneath, like blood washed down a drain years ago and never fully gone. As he walked, he felt it again. That pressure. Not fear. John Wick did not fear easily. It was closer to being observed, as if windows were eyes and sewer grates were mouths holding their breath. He ignored it. Observation didn't stop bullets. The job was clean, quick. The broker panicked, begged, said the same things they all said. John put 2 rounds center mass and 1 in the head, efficient and precise. No unnecessary movement, no wasted time. The man fell backward against a peeling wall, eyes wide in surprise more than terror. John checked the body, wiped his gun, and turned toward the exit. That was when the lights went out. Not all at once, one by one. The hallway dimmed in stages, like the building itself was reconsidering its options. Emergency lights flickered weakly, bathing the walls in sickly red. John paused. This wasn't part of the job. He listened. The rain outside had stopped, completely. No drip from gutters, no distant traffic. Even the buzzing open sign had gone silent. Then came the sound. A laugh. High, soft, almost playful. It echoed from somewhere below, carried through the bones of the building. It was wrong in a way that had nothing to do with volume or tone. It sounded rehearsed, practiced over centuries. John's jaw tightened. He drew his pistol and moved toward the stairwell, every step deliberate. "Hello?" the voice called. "Anybody home?" The stairwell descended farther than it should have. John noticed it immediately. The building was only 3 stories tall. The stairs kept going. Concrete walls closed in, damp and cold, graffiti bleeding down like old wounds. The smell changed, less dust, more rot. A red balloon floated up from below. It bobbed gently, string trailing, brushing against the ceiling. It stopped in front of John, hovering at eye level, impossibly still. John stared at it. Then he shot it. The balloon burst with a wet pop, spraying red latex fragments that hit the wall and slid down like torn skin. The laugh returned, closer now. "Oh," the voice said, "you're no fun at all." The stairwell ended in a tunnel. Not a basement, not a maintenance level, a sewer corridor, wide and circular, water trickling sluggishly along the sides. The walls were etched with claw marks and symbols half erased by time. This place had been used, abandoned, used again. A figure stepped out of the darkness. It wore a clown suit, faded, gray, puffed sleeves, orange pom-poms dull with age. Its hair was bright, violently red, framing a white painted face cracked like old porcelain. Yellow eyes glowed with amusement. Pennywise smiled. "John," it said warmly, "I've been waiting for you." John didn't lower his gun. "You're not on my list." Pennywise tilted its head, studying him like a butcher assessing meat. "No," it agreed, "but you're on mine." The clown took a step closer. The air thickened, reality bending subtly around its body, as if space itself was unsure how close it wanted to be. "I know who you are," Pennywise continued. "The Baba Yaga, the man who kills for love, for grief, for memory." John fired. The bullet hit Pennywise's forehead and stopped, flattened, dropped to the wet concrete with a dull clink. The smile widened, stretching too far. "Oh," Pennywise purred, "this is going to be delicious." The sewer shifted. The walls dissolved, melting into something else. The damp stone bled into polished wood floors. The smell of rot vanished, replaced with warm air and antiseptic cleanliness. John's breath caught despite himself. He stood in his old house. Sunlight filtered through the windows. The walls were painted the same soft colors Helen had chosen. The kitchen smelled like coffee and fresh bread. A dog bowl sat near the door. Footsteps echoed down the hallway. "John?" a voice called gently. His fingers tightened around the grip of his gun. For just one split second, his heart stuttered. Helen stepped into view. She looked exactly as she had before the sickness hollowed her out, healthy, smiling, alive. Her eyes were warm with concern. "You look tired," she said. "You work too hard." Pennywise's voice layered over hers, faint but present. "Doesn't she taste so sweet already? All that loss, all that love?" John stared at Helen. The world waited. This was the moment Pennywise lived for, the instant when fear bloomed, when hope curdled into horror, when flesh would be rich and trembling and perfect. John exhaled, slowly. Then he raised his gun and fired directly through her chest. The illusion shattered like glass. The house collapsed inward, walls screaming as they tore apart, revealing the sewer once more. Helen's body dissolved into smoke and laughter. Pennywise recoiled, eyes narrowing for the first time. "No," it hissed. "You're supposed to scream." John advanced. "You don't get to use her," he said quietly. Pennywise studied him again, reassessing. The hunger was still there, but now something else crept in. Uncertainty, confusion. The clown licked his lips, tasting the air. There was grief, deep, endless grief, but no fear, only rage. "Well then," Pennywise said softly, "let's see how long that lasts." The tunnel darkened, and somewhere deep beneath Derry, something ancient began to realize it had made a mistake. The sewer did not like John Wick. It reacted to him the way flesh reacts to a blade, tightening, pulling away, reshaping itself to make the cut hurt more. Water levels shifted without reason. Tunnels narrowed where they should have widened. Corners appeared where straight lines had been moments before. Pennywise drifted backward, not retreating so much as repositioning, boots never quite touching the ground. Its grin had lost a fraction of its confidence, replaced with calculation. "You really are broken," the clown murmured. "Most men would be begging by now." John moved forward methodically, eyes scanning, gun steady. He tracked reflections in the water, listened to echoes, mapped angles in his head. This was a hostile environment, but hostility was familiar. What unsettled him was not the place, it was the intention behind it. This thing wasn't trying to kill him yet, it was tasting. "You picked the wrong memory," John said. His voice carried evenly through the tunnel. "That one doesn't scare me." Pennywise chuckled, drifting sideways as the tunnel split behind it. "Oh, John," the clown chuttered, "fear isn't always screaming. Sometimes it's the quiet pause before the trigger pull." The walls pulsed.
Suddenly, the sewer was gone. John stood on a rain-soaked street illuminated by police lights. Blue and red strobed across familiar shapes. A house. His house. Yellow tape fluttered in the wind like nervous fingers. The smell hit him next. Gunpowder. Blood. wet concrete. He knew this moment. Every second of it, he had replayed it 1,000 times in the dark. Inside the house, his own body lay twisted on the floor, blood spreading beneath him. Above him stood faceless men in black suits, guns still raised. The dog, Daisy, whimpered softly from the corner, terrified and alone. Pennywise's voice slid into his ear. "You didn't save her," it whispered. "You didn't save any of it." John felt the weight in his chest again. Not fear, but pressure, memory, a scar reopening. The clown stepped into view, now wearing a crude imitation of a funeral suit. Its eyes glowed brighter, hungry. "Look at you," Pennywise crooned. "All that violence, all that death, and still you failed." John's jaw tightened. He closed his eyes. Then he opened them, and the illusion fractured. The street bled into static. Police lights stuttered, froze, then shattered like glass. The bodies vanished. John was back in the sewer. Pennywise hissed, irritation flashing across its painted face. "You're not supposed to be able to do that." John advanced another step. "I live with it. You visit." The clown's smile sharpened, revealing rows of teeth far too many and far too long. "Then let's try something fresher." The tunnel opened into a cavernous space, an underground chamber supported by rusted beams and ancient brickwork. Water pooled at the center, like a dark eye. Children's shoes lay scattered along the edges, small bones, torn fabric. This place had fed the creature for centuries. Pennywise landed lightly on a beam above, crouching like a grotesque spider. "You know," it said conversationally, "most people taste better when they're afraid. The meat gets soft, sweet. You?" Its eyes narrowed. "You taste burnt." John raised his gun and fired 3 quick shots. Pennywise split apart, body elongating impossibly as bullets tore through empty space. It reformed behind him, claws slashing. John rolled, came up firing again. One round clipped Pennywise's arm. The flesh sizzled where it hit, smoking faintly. The clown screeched, not in pain, but surprise. "Oh," it said, delighted and offended all at once. "You can hurt me." John didn't answer. He moved, fast, precise, relentless. He closed distance, grabbed Pennywise by the throat and slammed it against a pillar. The concrete cracked. Pennywise's head snapped back, eyes flashing with sudden, genuine anger. "You think you're hunting me?" it snarled. Its jaw unhinged, rows of teeth unfolded, spiraling inward like a nightmare flower. The mouth expanded far beyond the limits of flesh, dripping saliva thick as oil. John shoved his gun into that mouth and fired until the slide locked back. The blast echoed through the chamber. Flesh exploded. Black ichor sprayed across the walls. Pennywise screeched, not in pain, but shock. The ravage was unfamiliar. The creature reformed slowly this time, shape unstable, edges flickering. That was new. Pennywise stared at John with naked hostility now. "You're not afraid, but you should be." The cavern trembled, the beams groaned, the walls cracked open, revealing darkness behind darkness. "Because I'm not done." The world inverted. John found himself standing in the Continental Hotel lobby. Warm light, polished marble, the soft murmur of professional violence conducted with rules and respect. Winston stood behind the desk, calm as ever, hands folded. "Mr. Wick, you've broken the rules." Blood spread across the floor at John's feet. He looked down. Bodies. Dozens of them. Assassins, innocents, faces blurred together. All dead, all because of him. The concierge bell rang. Pennywise stood where Winston had been, wearing the same immaculate suit, smile painted too wide. "This is what you leave behind. No fear, just corpses." John felt the weight again, heavier now. Not terror, responsibility, regret. Pennywise leaned closer, voice dropping to a whisper.
You can't shoot this one away." John looked around the lobby, took it in. Then he reached inside his coat and pulled out a gold coin. He flipped it into the air. It fell through the illusion and disappeared. The lobby cracked open like a shell. Marble peeled away, revealing brick and filth. The bodies dissolved into rags and bones. Pennywise stumbled back. John stepped forward. "You don't understand me. That's your problem." The clown snarled, finally losing the last traces of playfulness. "Then I'll eat you anyway." The cavern collapsed inward, dragging both of them deeper, down to the ancient heart of Derry where Pennywise truly fed. And for the first time in centuries, the creature felt something it hadn't tasted in a long time. Not fear, resistance. They fell, not through space, but through layers of brick, of time, of memory. The cavern collapsed into itself like a lung exhaling, and John Wick felt the ground tear away beneath his feet. He twisted midair out of instinct, hit hard, rolled, came up on one knee with his gun already raised. The light was wrong. Not dark, old, dim and colorless like illumination filtered through centuries of rot. The walls around him were no longer brick or concrete, but something closer to fossilized flesh, ridged and veined, as if the earth itself had grown organs. Thick strands clung to the ceiling like cobwebs made of sinew. This place had fed the creature for centuries. Pennywise landed lightly on a beam above, crouching like a grotesque spider. "You know," it said conversationally, "most people taste better when they're afraid. The meat gets soft, sweet. You," its eyes narrowed, "you taste burnt."
John didn't answer. "You know what this place is," Pennywise continued, pacing slowly around him in a wide circle. "This is where the town forgets, where parents stop looking, where missing posters rot in the rain." The walls pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. "I eat here," the creature said. "I finish here." John adjusted his stance, subtly shifting to keep Pennywise in front of him. "You eat people," John said. "You hide behind fear." Pennywise's grin split wider, jaw creaking. "Fear is seasoning, flesh is the meal, and you?" It inhaled deeply. "You are starving me." The thing moved, not with speed, with inevitability. The distance between them vanished as Pennywise lunged, claws tearing through the air. John fired point blank. Bullets punched into its torso, tearing chunks free, but the wounds closed almost instantly, knitting together with wet sounds. Pennywise slammed into him, sending him skidding across the cavern floor. John rolls, came up firing again, but a massive claw caught his wrist and crushed it against the wall. Pain exploded up his arm. Bones strained. Pennywise leaned in close, breath hot and foul. "Do you feel that?" it whispered. "That's fear trying to wake up." John snarled and headbutted it. The impact staggered the creature just enough. John tore free, rolled under its swing, and drove a knife up into its side. Black ichor poured out, smoking where it hit the ground. Pennywise screamed, this time in genuine pain. The cavern reacted. The walls rippled violently. Shapes pushed out from within, faces frozen in terror, mouths open in silent cries. Children, adults, hundreds of them, embedded in the flesh of the place like insects in amber. "Look at them," Pennywise hissed, clutching its wound. "They were afraid. They tasted right." John glanced at the faces and felt something twist in his chest. Not fear, anger. He ripped the knife free and plunged it in again and again. Pennywise screamed and dissolved into smoke, reappearing across the chamber, breathing hard, form unstable. "You don't break. You don't break." "No," John said. "I adapt." The floor cracked open. From the darkness below, something enormous began to rise. Not the clown,
not even a shape that could pretend to be human. A vast spider-like form hauled itself into the chamber, limbs as thick as trees, body layered and segmented, eyes glowing like distant stars. The clown face peeled away completely, sloughing off like a discarded mask. This was Pennywise's true body, ancient, alien, massive. "You wanted honesty," the creature said, its voice now layered and echoing, vibrating the stone. "Here it is." John stared up at it, breathing steady despite the sheer scale of it. "So, that's you," he said. The creature loomed closer, its shadow swallowing him. "You cannot kill me. I am older than your world. I have fed on fear since before your kind had language." "Maybe, but you still bleed." He reached into his coat and pulled out his last grenade. Pennywise's many eyes widened. John didn't throw it, he charged. The explosion tore through the chamber like a thunderclap. Fire and force ripped through Pennywise's lower body, shredding limbs, blasting ichor across the walls. The shockwave hurled John backwards, slamming him hard into the ground. His ears rang, his vision blurred. He forced himself up. Pennywise screamed, an ear-splitting, reality-warping sound that made the cavern convulse. The true form thrashed, collapsing partially, dragging itself backwards into the darkness. The walls began to cave in. The town above groaned, foundations cracking as something ancient shifted beneath it. Pennywise retreated, but it did not flee. "This isn't over," it roared. "You can't kill hunger." John staggered to his feet, blood running freely now. "Maybe not, but I can make you choke." The creature vanished into the depths, the cavern sealing behind it like a wound closing. Silence fell. John stood alone among the dead faces, chest heaving. Then the ground trembled again, not violently this time, but cautiously. Derry was watching. John wiped blood from his eyes and started walking. He wasn't done yet. John Wick surfaced beneath Derry just before dawn. He emerged from a storm drain on the edge of town, water pouring off his suit, blood streaking his collar and sleeves. The sky above was a dull, lifeless gray, clouds hanging low and heavy like a ceiling about to collapse. The rain had not returned, but the air still smelled wet, stagnant, expectant. Derry was waking up. Lights flicked on behind curtains. A bus hissed to a stop 3 blocks away, empty. Somewhere a church bell rang once and then fell silent, as if reconsidering the idea of time. John stood still for a moment, listening. He could feel it now without effort, the town's attention. Derry wasn't screaming, it never did. It watched. Windows reflected his shape a second too long. Doors closed quietly as he passed. A dog barked once and then whimpered itself into silence. Pennywise was no longer hiding underground. It didn't need to. John moved through side streets, keeping to shadow and habit, reloading with the last of his ammunition. His body ached. One arm was slower than it should have been. He cataloged the damage and ignored it. Pain was information, nothing more. John reached a small intersection where 4 streets met and stopped. A red balloon was tied to every streetlight. They swayed gently, strings creaking faintly in the wind. There must have been dozens of them, stretching down each road until they disappeared into fog. John exhaled through his nose. "Enough," he said quietly. The balloon directly in front of him burst. The sound echoed like a gunshot. People began to appear. They stepped out of houses, stores, alleyways. Men, women, teenagers, old people. Their faces were slack, eyes unfocused, mouths curved into faint, wrong smiles. They didn't rush him. They didn't speak. They simply stood in the streets, blocking every exit. Pennywise's voice drifted in from everywhere at once, inside walls, beneath pavement, behind his eyes. "You don't belong here, John. This town is mine." The people took one step forward in unison. John raised his gun but hesitated. They weren't attacking. Not yet. "You don't have to be afraid of them," Pennywise continued. "They already are. They just don't know it." A woman near the front, early 30s, pale, shaking, opened her mouth and screamed.
The scream tore out of her like it had been waiting years for permission. Her fear spilled into the air, thick and electric. Pennywise inhaled audibly. The woman collapsed, eyes rolling back. John moved instantly, catching her before she hit the ground. She was alive, barely, breathing shallow, skin clammy. The others didn't react. Pennywise laughed. "See," it said, "they're seasoning themselves." John set the woman down gently. Then he stood. "Come get me," he said. The town answered. The people surged forward, not running, not attacking, but pressing inward, closing space. Hands grabbed at his coat, his arms, his shoulders. Their strength was wrong, amplified by panic they didn't understand. John moved like he always did, controlled, efficient. He disarmed without killing when he could, redirected momentum, broke grips, pushed through gaps. He avoided lethal force, not out of mercy but calculation. Pennywise wanted blood, wanted fear. He wouldn't provide either willingly. Still, the crowd slowed him, and Pennywise struck. Reality tore open above the intersection, peeling back like skin. Pennywise descended, not as the clown, not as the spider, but as something in between. Tall, skeletal, its face half human, half nightmare, eyes blazing with frustrated hunger. It landed hard, cracking pavement. "This ends now," it snarled. John drew his knife. They collided. Pennywise moved faster now, rage burning away its caution. Claws slashed, teeth snapped inches from John's throat. John countered, blade flashing, cutting deep where he could. Black ichor spilled freely, smoking as it hit the ground. The people screamed. Fear flooded the air. Pennywise shuddered as it fed, wounds closing faster, strength returning. John realized the problem immediately. As long as there were people around, Pennywise would never weaken. So John did the only thing that made sense. He ran toward the fear. He charged straight into Pennywise, drove it back step by step, forcing it away from the crowd, toward the old ironworks at the edge of town, a dead place, abandoned decades ago. Pennywise laughed, delighted. "Yes, run!" John didn't answer. They burst through the ironworks gates, rusted metal screaming in protest. The building loomed ahead, vast, hollow, empty. No people, no witnesses, no food. Pennywise realized it too late. Its movement slowed as the distance from the town increased. Its form flickered again, instability creeping back in. "What are you doing?" it hissed. John slammed the doors shut behind them and braced it with a length of pipe with debris. "You're hungry," John said. "Let's see how hungry." The fight was brutal now. No illusions, no tricks left worth trying. Pennywise clawed and bit, tearing chunks from John's suit, opening deep wounds. John countered with bone-breaking strikes, blade and fist working together, forcing the creature to expend energy it couldn't easily replace. Pennywise roared in frustration. "You think this starves me?" it screamed. "I can wait decades." John slammed it into a steel support beam hard enough to bend metal. "Not like this," he said. The building shook. Pennywise staggered, form unraveling again, flesh sagging, eyes dimming. It understood now. This man wasn't prey. He was a constraint. "You don't win," it snarled weakly. "You can't kill me." John stood over it, breathing hard, blood dripping onto the concrete. "No," he agreed. "I don't have to." He stepped back and walked away. Pennywise screamed after him, promises, threats, visions of endless suffering, but John didn't turn around. He pushed open a side door and disappeared into the gray morning. Behind him, the ironworks stood silent, holding something ancient and starving inside. Derry exhaled, not in relief, in disappointment. John Wick left Derry the same way he entered it, quietly. The sun never truly rose that morning. The clouds thinned just enough to suggest daylight, painting the town in pale gray instead of darkness. Streets were empty again. Doors stayed closed.
The ironworks loomed in the distance, silent and still, holding something ancient and furious in its rusted bones. John walked to his car without looking back. His injuries were catching up to him now. Blood soaked through his shirt beneath the suit. His breathing was shallow but controlled. He cataloged everything automatically. Fractured ribs, deep lacerations, exhaustion bordering on collapse. Still alive. That was enough. As he drove, the pressure eased, not vanished, but distant, like a hand slowly unclenching. Derry receded in the rearview mirror, shrinking into just another forgotten town with too many missing posters and too many stories no one wanted to finish. John didn't believe in curses, but he believed in containment. Behind him, beneath layers of iron and earth, Pennywise screamed. The sound never reached the surface. The ironworks became a tomb. Not a prison. Pennywise could not be caged in any simple sense, but a starvation chamber. The creature raged inside the hollow structure, tearing at walls, bending steel, expending what little strength it had left. Each attempt weakened it further. There were no people here, no fear, no fresh flesh, only echoes. Days passed, then weeks. The town above changed its habits without realizing why. Children stopped wandering, parents locked doors earlier, streets emptied at night. Derry had always cooperated with the thing beneath it, feeding it without ever admitting the truth. Now something in the pattern was broken. Pennywise felt it. The hunger sharpened into agony. The creature tried illusions, projecting screams, memories, phantom laughter, but they found no minds to root in. Without proximity, without fear, they faded like smoke in open air. For the first time in centuries, Pennywise was forced to wait, and wait without feeding. It remembered the man. Not his face. Faces meant nothing, but the absence he carried, the void where fear should have been, the way grief had burned itself into something colder and harder than terror. That was new. That was dangerous. Pennywise did not forget.